Hi, welcome to the Israel First television program with myself, Martin Blackham, with my wife, Nathalie Blackham, from our studios in Jerusalem, bringing you news and interviews from the land of Israel. Great to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are coming up to the big holiday, the big Jewish holiday festival, Nathalie, of Lag BaOmer, and Jewish pilgrims for the first time are returning to Tunisia this year to mark the ancient, the ancient Djerba synagogue to mark Lag BaOmer. It's an annual Jewish pilgrimage to the ancient Ghriba synagogue on Tunisia's Djerba island, started on Monday without the usual thousands of pilgrims due to COVID-19 restrictions. The pilgrimage to Ghriba in Djerba is the oldest synagogue in Africa, takes place from the 25th of April 2021 to the 2nd of May 2021.
Oh, when you said Djerba, this reminds me, we went there for a honeymoon many moons away, and it's a beautiful synagogue. We didn't know that there was a synagogue, but we were visiting things, and it's blue and it's beautiful. So it's like,
and it's for the island's Jewish community and the faithful who are able to make the trip from abroad. Last year it was cancelled, but this year it is taking place, albeit with pilgrims praying individually and wearing face masks. Former Tunisian tourist minister René Trabelsi, himself Jewish, was in Djerba with about 20 French tourists. He said that despite the restrictions, pilgrims could still offer their prayers. Beginning on the holiday of Lag BaOmer, 33 days after the start of the Jewish festival of Passover. Remember, we've had a Passover, and by the way, we're going to be talking about Passover today. The pilgrimage usually attracts huge numbers of Jewish worshippers from across the world, and we are very happy to say our prayers, said Elizabeth, an elderly lady from Paris, who gave only her first name. There are no festivities this year, but it doesn't matter. We've come for prayer. Last year it was impossible. Tunisian Jews now number around 1,500 compared with an estimated 100,000 in the North African country when it gained independence in 1956. Now, I want to just quickly mention, before I go on to my next story, a book. And I brought a book into the studio, and it's called Lost Hero. And it's written by an author called Danny Smith. I believe he's from England. And Danny wrote in the book, or maybe he's from America, I'm not sure. But Danny wrote an inscription to me, so let me just find that for you. And he wrote in the book, to Martin, the truth is more important than the consequences. The truth is more important than the consequences. And so I wanted to bring that up today because we are bringing you truthful news from Israel. We're bringing accurate news because we've lost control of the main media. The main media now is not bringing us any truthful news. So it's very important to find media that's bringing you truthful news. By the way, if you want to know some websites, if you're watching today and you'd like to know some websites who are providing information, then please do contact us. Now, Israel is tightening its entry regulations into the country at Ben Gurion airport again. Coronavirus czar Professor Nachman Ash told Israeli news media on Wednesday. Professor Ash said that the ministers were due to vote virtually Wednesday regarding the new measures. Ash cited a potential ban on arrivals from countries such as India, Brazil, Mexico, Turkey, Ethiopia and South Africa. He also said it would be impossible to prevent the entry of foreign nationals who work in Israel as caregivers, as that would have been detrimental to their clients. So very strange restrictions. They're restricting some people, but if you're a caregiver, if you're working as a foreign national in Israel and you're looking after someone, it seems you're okay, which is very odd, bearing in mind, if you have a closure, you should, in my opinion, for medical reasons, if you have a closure, it should be for everybody. It shouldn't just be for certain people. It's very strange. Now,
I think they really have their own way of
their own agenda.
Things.
Yeah, I think there's an agenda here, and it isn't anything to do with health. Now, an announcement was made by Israel's Health Minister, Director General Professor Hezi Levi, that the approval to vaccinate children was expected in early May. Professor Levy said, according to discussions with companies, I assume that we will receive FDA approval to vaccinate children in early May, and that we will begin vaccinating at the end of May. The FDA, however, listen to this is very important. The FDA, however, considers the experimental vaccine unapproved, even for those 16 and older. In other words, they haven't approved anything. These vaccines are not approved. What they have said is that they're for emergency use only. They are certainly not approved vaccines, and this is a lie when they say they are.
And it's genetic injectable too.
Right.
It's
So
not
we're not
a vaccine
right.
as we knew the vaccine before.
Right. It's not a normal vaccine. You're not taking, if you decide to have it, you're not taking a normal vaccine. You are actually having mRNA if you have the Pfizer one, or it's an injectable. And we don't really know what's in this injectable. It's a medical therapy, and there is further information on the internet, but they still don't know what the long-term consequences of interfering with genes are. It doesn't interfere like changing the genes in the sense of having another gene put in, but it does interfere with the genes in the fact that mRNA are messengers, and they communicate with the genes and can change
and they discovered that it was the protein, the spike protein, who is also targeting also some other organ. So it's not going only for, like what they say for the virus, but they're also targeting 28 organs, and there is some vital organs because of that people have like they have like heart problem, and they have neurologic problem, and they have kidney problem, and they have liver problem because it's attacking some tissues.
Right. Now the announcement came about this vaccination campaign for children, a shocking one really, as 100 medical doctors, that's not 1 or 10, but 100 medical doctors in Israel told the government, do not use COVID-19 vaccine on children. I don't think you can be any less clear than that. Some 100 medical professionals in the country have expressed opposition to vaccinating children with the experimental and so-called vaccine. In a letter to the health ministry, according to local news media, we believe that there is no room for vaccinating children at this time, when we will base ourselves on the following attributes: caution, modesty, the understanding that haste is from the devil, in other words, don't rush into things that you don't know anything about, the recognition that we do not understand everything about the virus and the vaccine against it, and the first commandment of medicine is do not harm, wrote the medical professions. This was a letter sent to the government. I don't know who said that, but Natalie knows more about it.
It's one of the tenets when you are working in the medical field, yeah.
Now the letter includes the signatures. Listen to this. The letter of 100 doctors to the government not to vaccinate children includes the signatures of Dr. Amir Shakar. He's the director of the emergency room at Laneado Hospital. Dr. Yoav Yezikel, an expert in internal medicine and a lecturer at Tel Aviv University, and Dr. Avi Mizraki, the director of the intensive care unit at Kaplan Hospital. In other words, these are not doctors, fringe doctors or some strange, these are doctors on the front line in Israel. The doctors addressed the letter to the chiefs of the Ministry of Health, to our fellow doctors around the country and to the entire public. We believe that not even a handful of children should be endangered through mass vaccination against the disease that is not dangerous to them, they wrote. Furthermore, it cannot be ruled out that the vaccine will have long-term effects that have not yet been discovered at this time, including on growth, reproductive system, or fertility. They devoted a separate part of the letter to the fact that there is still not a complete picture of serious and rare effects of the vaccine, due to the fact that many vaccinated people who experienced side effects did not report it. Therefore, we fear that at this point in time there is under-reporting of side effects. Moreover, a causal link between events, if any, will only emerge in due course, as more and more events of a certain type accumulate. For example, if there is a serious health event that happens to 12 young people a year in Israel, i.e. an average of 1 per month, while the vaccine also causes this serious event, infrequently it will be taken many months until it is clear that there is an increase in the incidence of the event and that there is a connection between the vaccine and the appearance. Do not rush to vaccinate children. That's very clear again, as long as the full picture is not clear. Coronavirus disease does not endanger children, and the first rule in medicine is do not harm. The full picture is expected in many months and possibly years. Moreover, one must wait for such documentation, not only from the Israeli data, but from global data, in other words, from around the world. They have to look at all the incidents that are happening around the world. Now, in this context, it's worthy to add that the black box warnings about severe or life-threatening side effects accumulate months and years after drug approval, due to the fact that severe but rare toxins appear naturally monitored only over time. Against the unbelievable possibility of a third dose, Nathalie, of the experimental vaccine for adults, they wrote, "We believe that it's not appropriate to impose the inconvenience of vaccination on the pediatric population where coronavirus is not dangerous."
Exactly.
This is 100 doctors. They're saying it's not dangerous for children at this stage, when the vaccine's efficiency in the long term is not at all clear, according to them. Pediatrics in Israel is one of the best in the world, and pediatric intensive care above all. It is extremely rare, they emphasize, for children to die of a viral disease, and this can happen, unfortunately, as a result of various types of viruses. We do not think it's right to manage private life and public health policy out of an ongoing fear of a viral illness that is very rarely liable to harm our children's lives. So, that's very clear to me that the doctors have written to the government and said, this is not right, what's going on? And that's why I mentioned at the beginning of the program about the truth about this coming out. And I believe that it's really a major fight for freedom.
And for truth.
And truth, that we are living in a time of fighting for freedom and truth. Now, part of this fight of freedom for truth is, of course, the Passover season, and we just talked about that with the Lag BaOmer, marking a period of time from Passover. And I know Nathalie is going to speak to us today about the importance of Passover, about what God said to Moses. Because the question is, Nathalie, and I think a lot of people at home are asking this, is what on earth do we do with all these different things that are going on? How on earth do we... What do we do? Do we shout? Do we rant? Do we bang things? Or how do we react to what's going on?
I know. So this is very good what you're saying, because everybody reacts in a different way. And when you look at the time, we are going to look at the background, but this is very good what you are saying. And I think I'm going just to go straight away in that, is that people react differently. So, there is some who are just going to run away. There is some the opposite, they are going to fight. There is some very spiritual, they're going to pray. And some who are thinking, okay, let us go with the enemy. Let us go with Pharaoh again, because we can't do anything, which was exactly what they were doing.
Because of the cucumbers.
Exactly, yes. The cucumbers were quite good in Egypt. Exactly. So if you read your Bible, look, you'll find the story somewhere. So when you look, and it's very important. Last week we were speaking about Adam. Adam is the first man, is the one who represents humanity. And when you look at the letters, you know how important it is in Hebrew. You have Aleph, Dalet, Mem, Adam. Okay, and when you look at that, Martin, you can see the Aleph is like Abraham, is the first letter of Abraham, and after you have Dalet, which is like first letter for David, King David, and the last one is Mem for Moses, also Messiah. Okay, so you see there is a progression. Abraham was the one who trusted in God, didn't want the idols anymore, and say, now I know that our creator is my God. I make the decision to follow him and to follow his statutes. And so he was the one who was believing in God. Then you have David, amazing King David. He started the kingdom in Israel, but he wanted to be representing the kingdom of God on earth. So again, a key, very important. And then you have M for Moses and for Messiah, and is the one who is bringing redemption, is the one who is bringing freedom and truth, as we're speaking. So you can see a pattern there. Okay, so when you look at Passover, you can see, yes, they had plagues, they had other things, you can read it in Exodus, but then they are free. They say, yeah, great, we are free. And suddenly they are between the Red Sea and Pharaoh, and they don't know what to do. And it's there that the one who want to draw themselves in the sea. And Moses is speaking to them and says something very interesting. He said, no, don't go to throw yourself in the sea. No, don't go to Pharaoh again and be slave. No, don't go to fight yourself. And no, don't go just to pray and just pray. You know what he said? Let us see. Exodus 14:14. This is what Moses said. Oh, let me find the page. I'm not on the right one. Okay. Because this is very important. This is what Moses said. He said, Adonai will battle for you and you hold your peace. In Hebrew it's a bit different. They say like, be quiet, stay still, don't blah, 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 blah. Just be quiet, be yourself, just stand, okay? This is our position that we have to do. Right now, we can't really do very much. We know that there is really a fight between darkness and light. We can speak a bit more about that after. But we know that the God of Israel is with us. Our Creator is with us. He's fighting this fight for us. There is the Prince of the world who wants to take the place in Israel. He wants to take the throne of God. He wants to be enthroned. Is Lucifer, is the angel of light. And when you see this shadow government, which is already put in place already, because before we're speaking about it, and suddenly we realize, no, it is already in place, and they are Luciferians. They are worshipping Lucifer, the prince of this world, and the angel of light. And really, we can't do very much. It's like we are next to the Red Sea, and we have the army behind us of Pharaoh, which is like all divination, darkness. They don't believe in God, and as people of God, we are there, and we have to cry to God, and He's coming to rescue us. Okay,
and I think
Mashiach is coming. The Messiah is coming.
And I think standing our ground is very important in these dark days, because just standing the ground may not sound very much, but it's a lot more than you think, because you are taking a stand against what's wrong. You're taking a stand for what's right. You're taking a stand for other people who might not be able to take a stand, and you're speaking up when you can. So it's like standing still to see the deliverance of God is not just hoping for the best, but you are taking a posture, you're taking action in a way to stand against what's wrong, and God sees that, and so
it's not fear when it's like that. It's not fear who is controlling you. Is you are fearing God, like you are in awe of Him, and you are crying to Him. You know who you are speaking to. And you don't have to fear darkness. And again, when you stand, you have this little light in you, which is a big light. Because when you're in darkness, the big light is a big light. And there is a passage, I think it's in the New Testament, who say, after a while, nobody won't be able to do anything. And I think we are coming at this time, which is, we never thought that we will see this time. But I really think we are coming in this time. And we just have to stand.
Yeah, the restriction, there's not just restrictions, there's problems with first of all, the media's gone, and not just that, but the platforms, the social media platforms which we trusted before have gone. So Twitter, Facebook, etc.
And Facebook, I read yesterday a report, and now because people want to say to their friends and relatives, or some people that they know, when they know that something is wrong with it's not a vaccine, with this genetic injectable, they are going to say to them, hey, I know so and so, or it happens to me, or I have miscarriage. And so people are reporting these things because they want the people that they love to know. And you know what is Facebook doing? Erase. And they've done like 120,000 posts have been erased, and maybe even more. I don't know now, but you can see that
I think a lot more, really.
Yeah, I think so too. A lot of, I mean, it was
it's censorship, basically. Yes, censorship of the media.
Yes.
And the fight is a fight for freedom. If you boil it down to one thing, it's freedom. And this is what Passover is about, the plagues. Why were there the plagues? It was to enable the Jewish people to have freedom. And that's what this fight is about freedom. And I think a lot of people are understanding that. There'll be marches, protests in various cities around the world regarding this, saying there's a problem. Not because we are ignoring possible health things, but we are saying that freedom is a vital part of our life in civilized society, and it's been taken away. Now, many people don't even really know what's going on in Israel, because in a major fight for freedom in Israel, there's protests going on, there's people writing. I talked about the 100 doctors who've written to the government. Well, apparently 150 Israeli citizens at Ben Gurion airport refused to have a PCR test, which is the test they use at the moment for COVID-19.
And again, we know by Rainer Fulmish, then these things you have a lot of false positive, and it's really a bit of a joke.
Yeah, we don't really know when you take one, whether it's going to be positive or negative, and whether that's accurate or not. Well, anyway, these people have decided they've refused to take it. It is very intrusive, and they decide that they want their freedom. It's not that they want to cause medical issues in Israel. They have said, excuse me, this is our freedom to travel, and you're taking this freedom, a part of the freedom of traveling normally and safely, you're taking this away from us. And now, of course, talking about the fact that the censorship in the media, there's no further information about this incident other than it happened. So we're only knowing things, it's like snippets of information are coming out.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable.
And the same about India. We recently received a video from India which said everything that the media was saying wasn't correct. That the worldwide media, the main media, was saying one specific thing, which was there was a big problem, and this other one was saying there wasn't.
No, and one of the things very specific is like in India, obviously there is a lot of people, there is also poor people, and some people, they go to sleep, they are tired, they lay down on the floor, on the street, and they go to have a nap. And so people are taking pictures of that and say, oh, they are dead. It's not true. But also something which is very important to know, they are having a lot of vaccine was done. And like it happens here in Israel, when the people were having the vaccine, they were transmitting the virus to the people who were around them, okay? And so they can see that also in India, and because of that, they have obviously more people who have the virus. So it's like there is so much things, we
can confirm that. You say, well, how do you know that? Well, there's a news story. It says coronavirus outbreak. It follows vaccination of residents at an Israeli nursing home. 16 retirement home residents contracted COVID-19. Most of them, the majority of them, were vaccinated. They were taken by ambulance medics to a clinic in Hadedra near Haifa after being diagnosed with COVID-19. Now, these were vaccinated people. These were not unvaccinated people.
I heard also another report, which was in Ma'ale Adumim, just close to Jerusalem, and there was a police station where there was an outbreak of COVID of people who were vaccinated.
Right.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and we're hearing this too much, and it's and it doesn't make any sense, does it? That the people who have been vaccinated will be getting COVID-19 doesn't make any sense at all. Now, not only that, but there's also another issue. Coronavirus Commissioner Nathalie, just this week, Nachman Ash, said that it's very likely Israelis will need a third shot. So not just a first, not just a second, but a third. Your arm is going to become like a pincushion.
I know. I was saying right at the beginning, I say, if you start to do it, you are going to be slave to them. You are going to be under them, which is exactly what's happening.
And not just that, but he said in a very strange announcement, vaccinated Israelis to avoid taking trips abroad, which again is very odd. If they're vaccinated, surely they'll be safe. And you say, well, what about the variants? Well, medical doctors have said the variants are not so different from the main thing. And
for example, you have a cap on your head and you move it a bit, like you are variant, and can you be recognized? Yes, of course you can be recognized, because our our immune system and our gene are made in a so amazing way that we can recognize viruses. We had viruses for for a long time, and our body know how to fight that, and we have to let our immune system do the work.
And there's another issue with this injectable. We don't really know, as we've said, what on earth's in it. Different people are saying different things, but we do know that there are side effects, and these are, as we said earlier in the program, they're not coming to light because not everybody's reporting them or wanting people to know that something happened to them. And there have been side effects in Israel of myocarditis, an inflammation of the heart muscle. And this is from a committee of experts in Israel tasked by the health ministry to monitor the inoculation side effects. The leaked document, it was a leaked document by the way, showed that most cases were reported amongst young men 18 to 30, which is very odd, bearing in mind they should be healthy. A total of at least 62 cases, that's been reported. We've said that a lot of cases are not being reported, of myocarditis have occurred so far in Israel around the time of vaccination. In this particular study, 56 of them received the second dose, and 55 cases among men. Without treatment, myocarditis can lead to cardiac arrhythmia and even death. As 2 Israelis, that's just that we know about, 22-year-old woman and a 35-year-old man have died. The researchers wrote, the impression is there is an increase in the incidence of myocarditis, especially in young men. So this is very strange that we're getting all these, and it's not just the only side effects.
And I heard also that people who are not vaccinated can fight much better the viruses than the one who have the vaccine.
I mean, there have been also cases of herpes zoster being found in a new study published by the Tel Aviv Sorovsky Medical Center and Carmel Medical Center in Haifa found the risk of developing herpes zoster infection following a vaccination in people with autoimmune disease, rheumatoid diseases.
Now, this is when your immune system goes down, okay? Herpes is what you have.
And we're running out of time, so if you want to know further information about anything we've talked about today, then do email us at info@israelfirst.org. Visit the website www.israelfirst.org, and remember, we're the program that looks at the land, the people, and the language.